Alright, guys, welcome back. This is just a continuation from the last video. That was part one of my testimony, and part two now is what happens after leaving the hospital. So, told you that pastor called and everything like that, and he prayed with us, and it was some comfort in knowing that God had someone there that was going to reach out just at the right time, right? But I say this to say one of the questions that 2025 forced me to ask myself was not even to ask myself, to ask God, like, why me? Why did Monique have to be on the list of strongest warriors for 2025? Why did this have to be a part of my story? Why me? Right? So, left the ER, came home, went through all that, spoke with my pastor, but at that point, what stuck out from that conversation was there's purpose in your pain, right? Why me? Or why do I have to go through it? And why couldn't he take my life instead? And that's the first question that God essentially answered for me, because over the next few days or weeks there were a bunch of questions that came to me, and I'll be honest with you, after this experience, I couldn't pray as we know prayer to be. Right, so prayer more looked like, all right, a conversation with God, which it didn't even seem like prayer to me at that point. So I'm like, why couldn't you take my life? And the call with my pastor answered it, well, he's not done with you yet. There is purpose in your pain. So it couldn't take your life because there is purpose in your life. And that's my first answer to someone that's listening to this, that maybe, I don't know if you're suicidal or whatever it is, but if your question is, why couldn't it happen to you instead, was that there is purpose for you. He's not done with you yet. The mere fact that you are alive and well, it means that there is work for you to do, right? He said to Jeremiah that before you were in your mom's womb, I formed you, right? I formed you. He knows us. He's created. His plan is not to harm us. And I'm paraphrasing it here. His plan is not to harm us, but to bring us to an expected end. So whatever you go through now, it's for an expected end. It's to prepare you for what's to come, right? In a sense, right? What's to come. That there's more at the end of it than when you're going through it right now. So, all right, went through it. All right, why not me? You have purpose for me. Well, we gonna have to navigate through this. And I said, remember, I told you I couldn't pray as we know prayer to be. So conversations with God was how it is. So that night, whatever, went to sleep. I don't even know if I slept good the night, so to say. But went to sleep, woke up, and I'll say this, I wasn't reading the Bible at that point, right? Because in a sense, you kind of feel lost. But what I would do is play my devotionals. And the devotional that I had been listening to, and now talking about the irony of it, that devotional is called like Reigniting the Fire in You or something like that. But that morning, the devotional, the Bible verse that it brought me to was Romans 8:28. All things work to good for those that love God, and for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. I made sure I write down the Bible verse. Those who love God and are called according to his purpose. So, let me go back and listen to Friday. And Friday morning's Bible verse was the same thing. All things will work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. And then Saturday morning's devotional, I listened back to it as well. And it said the same thing. So Friday morning was the morning where I went to work Friday, came home, and it's when I said I took the bath, I was in pain, everything like that. Saturday morning is when we went to the hospital. So Friday morning, the Bible verse for the devotional is all things work together for good. Saturday morning, the Bible verse is all things work together for good. Sunday morning, the Bible verse is all things work together for good. All right, God, you got a sense of humor. All things work together for good. But right now, it don't feel like it's working out for my good, because I don't see how this can be for my good. But, oh well, Get up, took a shower, and I said I was not going to stay in the bed that day. Came to the living room, whatever. And I remember as I was about to sit in the chair, I said to God that, you know what, God? I can't do this by myself, so I'm giving over the pain to you. And I don't know how to navigate this, so I'm asking for your help. And it's not just for me, but I'm asking for the help for my husband too, because quite frankly, I can't even help him now because I can't help myself now. Said that and I sit down. One of the other things I was deliberate in doing was I didn't want anyone, because remember the week before I essentially told my family members and friends that I was expecting. My family members, I would say, that I was expecting. And I knew the people that would reach out to me to check in, right? So was very deliberate in sending out texts that morning. As hard as it was, I wrote a text, I sent to everyone. Fortunately, went into labor and I didn't even go in depth. I just told them that essentially not pregnant anymore, X, Y, and Z. And I remember when I said that, and my best friend responded later on, and she said, you know, we didn't speak or anything, but my best friend responded saying that she went to the altar that morning, standing in the gap from me and my husband. She never knew why she was going to the altar, but there's something that she felt so heavy on her that she went to the altar for my husband and I. Another friend said that, you know what, I had been in her spirit, she was praying for me. And it reminds me that we have to know who we have in our corner, right? We can't just simply have friends that are there for the good time, but friends that are there standing in the gap for you. Their connection to God should be even stronger than their connection to you, because when it comes down to it, these are individuals that are going to be standing in the gap, right? And I found that when he was shifting certain people out of my life, he was shifting people that would not have been able to stand in the gap for me, or even if they did, there would have been some ulterior motive to it, right? So the individuals that were in my life, I reconnected with a friend that we hadn't spoken for years. We went to college together, and when I said she checked in every week, we checked in every week. She's one of the people that I had told, and she had just had a baby, so I knew that it touched her too, right? But I say that to say the individuals that were in my life at this point that I was connected to, I knew that I was connected to them for a reason. And I could feel the genuine love from them, the genuine support from them. I knew that these individuals were praying for me. At time when people would ask me, what can they do? I'm like, listen, just pray for me. Because as I said, I did not know how to pray. And pray for me, yes, but pray even more for my husband. Because I understood that he was in a place where he is trying to be strong for me, but he is grieving as well, right? All right. Boom, that happened. And we had a friend, we are so fortunate where we had a friend that she brought dinner for us, so didn't have to cook or anything like that. And mind you, my husband literally had to fight with me sometime to eat, because I had no interest in eating. If I was eating, it wasn't anything good for me. It was junk, so to say, that I would have wanted, right? But I had prescription to take, so I needed to take them. So I needed to take them. Or actually, I didn't have prescription at that point. My apologies. I didn't have prescription at that point. But my husband, understanding that I was postpartum, was doing what? He was doing that he think would support me, right? All right. So that Sunday I was okay. The Monday, went back to the doctor's office, and boom, doctor sends you back to the hospital. Because based on the symptoms I was feeling, she did her test and realized that there's endometriosis. And she sent me back to the hospital because in her sense, this is where the prescription came in. When something I didn't tell you is that after we delivered the baby, when they saw how white the placenta was, the doctor said that she did what she could say. It's not your fault. None of this is your fault. And while we can't explain it, just know it's not your fault. When she saw the placenta, she said, listen, based on what we can see here, there was an infection in the placenta. We're still going to do tests and everything like that, but we're thinking that was the case. Fast forward to now, Monday morning, we were discharged. We went in 8 o'clock Saturday morning, had baby 10 something Saturday morning, one discharged 5 o'clock Saturday evening. Monday now, doctor's appointment at 8:30, and from the doctor's appointment, she sending me back to the emergency room. And I remember going back to emergency room, and at that point, I was just so flustered because, how you mean they just discharged me and now I gotta go back? And she said, listen, I want you to go. I can give you a prescription, but you need to get IV antibiotics to ensure that you don't end up having sepsis. So, okay. We went back to the emergency room. The doctor seemed very dismissive. She didn't see why she literally made it seem as if the doctor didn't need to send me back there. Everything like that. But we went in, we got the IV and got discharged later that day. Now we have prescriptions that we're coming home with and have to navigate through that, right? So that was Monday. Tuesday, it was as okay as can be. By Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday afternoon, I remember hitting a low. No, Tuesday I was good. It was Wednesday afternoon, midday. I woke up okay Wednesday, like natural okay with grief and everything like that. But by Wednesday midday, a grief hit, a sadness hit that I could not explain, where I could not get up out of the bed. And this lasted until Thursday evening. I remember I said the people that you have in your life. I remember getting a text from the same friend that would bring dinner, and she's like, listen, potentially saying that I know that as women we tend to try to be strong, but and it's like what she was saying at that moment is what I needed to hear. So encouragement, show me that, and essentially God placed me on her heart and everything like that, right? So the encouragement came in, and by the Thursday evening, she and my mom came. They brought dinner, but I was at a low at that point. There's a Bible study that a friend and I have every Thursday, and I didn't feel like having the Bible study, and she reached out to me. And the funny thing is, the topic we were on was divine assignment. And she reached out to me and said, listen, I understand everything. You may not want to do Bible study, I understand. So we don't have to do it, just let me know. And I didn't want to do it. I won't be hypocritical. I'll tell you right now. I had no intentions of doing Bible study because I understand that I'm a Christian. But, I was hurt, right? So I told her I don't feel like doing it, so no. But then the conviction set in. I'm like, you know what? All right, I text her. I'll be honest with you, I am not prepared for today's Bible study session. So if you have if you are prepared, I'll just listen. And she called. I said, all right, if that's what you want, that's it. And everything that she was saying was essentially encouraging me, right? It was for me. While we were doing Bible study, my mom came, and our friend, they came, brought dinner. And one thing I'll tell you, when they came, they were not leaving without praying. I'll go back to where the hospital where my mom came, and that was the same thing as well. But one thing, whenever they came, they were not leaving without praying. But I remember going to the bathroom, and I went to the bathroom. I was just crying, and my mom came in. And I said to her, "No, my question, even though it was answered that night, he was still there. Why couldn't he take my life?" And my mom said to me that because she had come to the hospital, she didn't say, she came to the hospital, and when she came in, one thing she did was pray in that room, to the point where the nurse came in and she was still praying, and the nurse just stood there, right? When we were leaving that evening, my mom wasn't there when I had given birth to see the baby, so the nurse walked her to where the baby's body was so that she could see the baby. And in that moment, when I was in the bathroom crying, my mom said to me that, do you remember the nurse being concerned um, being concerned, telling you that you did not leave. Well, guess what? She said the infection was so bad based on what they saw in the placenta. The baby had already passed for more than a day. The fact that you were able to walk out of that hospital is a miracle. So he couldn't have given you the choice. What I didn't realize is that my aunt woke up that morning and my aunt said, my aunt, not knowing what's happening, said while she was praying, God said to her that it's me or the baby. That's it. Me or the baby. But he wasn't giving me the choice. My mom on the way to the hospital, she said the same thing happened to her, and God said to her, it's me or the baby. I wouldn't have a choice. So when the nurse then says to my mom that the infection was so bad, or the placenta, there was no life in the placenta, was white. There were no healthy cells in it was white. The baby had already been gone for more than a day, right? And because of how bad, how severe the infection was, my life was a miracle, because I gave birth at 10-something that Saturday. I should not have walked out untouched that Saturday evening. And even though I went back that Monday, I didn't spend the night in the hospital that Monday, right? So the nurse was just in such shock. She didn't expect me to walk out the hospital that night. She was so concerned, she did not want me to leave because of how bad, what they were looking at, how bad it was. It was at the highest stage. When you read the medical report, the infection was at the highest stage that it could have possibly been. So, all right, because my mom comes and tells me that, I'm breaking down in the bathroom. But what she's telling me now sinks in, because the Friday night I was eating and I felt movement. And that just confirmed to me that my baby wasn't alive. How could I have not known that my baby was alive? How could I have not known that my baby was in pain? Now, these are the questions that are coming to my head. So now I'm breaking down even more, right? So the movement that I felt Friday, even the 5 o'clock, the Saturday morning, I said I felt something move. It was a lifeless body moving down into the birth canal. When I was laying on the bed feeling pain, I was feeling contractions. I was in preterm labor, not realizing, right? So now that means when I went into the ER, the heartbeat that they heard was not the baby's heartbeat. I thought it was the baby's heartbeat and that, but no, it was not the baby's heartbeat. And that, yes, it gave me hope, because God wasn't ready for me to go, right? But how could I have not known that my baby was in pain? As a matter of fact, you know what, God, I'm not even asking you why you didn't take my life instead, because quite frankly, you didn't take my life for a reason. Why did this have to happen to me? Why Monique? Why me? And here's the thing. You see, when you ask questions, you got to be prepared for the answers. And I don't know how prepared I was for the answers. So I asked him why me, and I kept asking, because it's not that I asked, boom, and he gave me the answer right then and there. Because if he'd given me the answer right then and there, I'll be honest and tell you that I probably wouldn't have gotten it, right? Because at this point, I was hurt. I was heartbroken. I was everything. I went back into Bible study with my friend and I, just listening, but I was, in a sense, out of it. The following day now, the question is came. I'm listening to the devotional. And after I listened, asking God, well, why me? And I'm laying on the bed, just thinking, zoning out. And he brought me to Job. Right? And not that I'm Job. I'll say that to say Job was blameless. Monique, not blameless. But he brought me to Job. And when Satan, he says the son of men were having a meeting, Satan was there. Satan, when God asked him what he was doing, he was roaming the earth back and forth, seeking whom he may devour. God said, have you considered my servant Job? He is upright. He is blameless, right? God in a sense, volunteer Job. And I'm like, but God, why would you volunteer Job to do that? You telling me you volunteered me for this? Like, why me? But then as I studied it, you realize that why not you? He didn't volunteer Job because he wanted to end Job's life. Job, in a sense, lost everything. And when he gave Satan permission, the first thing that reminded me is that we give the enemy too much credit. Satan can't do anything that he's not allowed, he's not given permission to do, first and foremost, right? So when Job was volunteered, Satan essentially said to God, but isn't Job like your guy? Like, why would you want it? X, Y, and Z. And he essentially was saying that no, after all this, like, he was in a sense confident that Job was not going to move forward. But remember, God said he's blameless and upright. God had faith in Job, right? And the only exception that Satan had was that he could not have taken Job's life. So, all right, can't take Job's life, but Job lost everything in the matter of a day. He had kids, he lost his kids, the kid's wife, he lost his home, he lost up to his servants. He lost everything in a day. So to the point where his wife said to him, why don't you just curse God and die? He didn't do that, right? He brought me to Job because through it all that Job went through, Job did not curse God, right? Job went through it. Job, in a sense, lost everything. And in that moment, I felt like I lost everything. He reminded me that this is simply a test, right? You can't have a testimony without a test. After everything happened, Job had double of what he had before. When we're going through a growth, remember there's purpose in pain, from when my pastor spoke to me that night, right? There's purpose in pain. All things work together for good. And I'll tell you, as nice as it sounds now, I was not optimistic when I was hearing this before, right? So there's purpose in pain. Job went through everything. Job came out even better in the end, right? So he's telling me that no, it's going to work out. It seems cruel now, but I'm strengthening you. I know your strength. This test is for you to know your strength. And the testimony that you're getting is not simply for you, but remember, Revelations tell us that they overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the sharing of their testimony. So I'm giving you a testimony for you to share. My pastor mentioned that the night before that you're going to be sharing this testimony as well. Did I know that a few weeks later, boom, I would be doing a video like this? No. I say that to say because, all right, fine, God, you changed the question. The question is no longer why me. Now I understand why not me. Because I understand that I'm alive because there is purpose. I'm alive because there is hope. I understand that you're not done with me yet. And the fact is, the pain that I'm feeling now anyways, I don't wish it on my enemy. So, as a result, I don't wish it on them. So fine, why not me? I'll take the pain because I understand that it's for a greater good, right? But in that, it brought other questions. Right? Now, the thing is what I gave birth and I didn't go home with a baby, but everything after that day I was postpartum. My milk came in, everything like that. I had to go through all of that, right? But as I navigated through the fact that, hold up, my baby isn't here, and why not my life, and why me? No, I'm asking God a question like, bro, I thought we were friends. And that question, I kept asking that question for probably about a week. I thought we were friends. Like, you tell me that you didn't take my life because there's more, right? You tell me that the question shouldn't be why me, but why not me? All right, fine. Well, I thought we were friends. Because if we were friends, you would have wanted me to go through this. And this is where he didn't... I thought we're friends. Why would you want me to go through this? So the first thing that he reminded me was, listen, I understand that you're feeling. I'm like, how can you understand what I'm feeling? You're God. How and it seems you're saying it no, but and you know the answer, right? How can you tell me you understand what I'm feeling and you are God? Like you didn't lose it, you know? And I'm like, hold up. No, he said it. He lost his child. And yes, he lost his child to individuals like me that don't deserve it. Can you imagine how heartbroken he was in that moment? It said that when Jesus died, like there was darkness upon the earth. So you're telling me that you truly understand me? All right, boom. Well, now if you understand what I'm going through, why would you want me to go through it? These are literally the questions. I told you guys I could not pray, but the conversations was just, you couldn't tell me that he wasn't sitting right beside me. Like that was what prayer was like for me in those few days. And I never considered it prayer. I'll be honest with you. It was just, all right, it's another person we're talking to. Well, if you understand what I'm going through, why would you want me to go through this? I thought we were friends. If we're friends, why would you, if I don't even want my enemy to feel this, why would you want me to feel this? And then he brought me to John 15 verse 13 to 14. No greater love than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend. You are my friends if you follow my commandment. All right. Nobody prepared me for that level of accountability, because in my grief, God was still holding me accountable. I thought we were friends. He just told me that he considered me his friend because he laid down his life. His son laid down his life for me. He laid down his life for me. But we are his friends if we follow these commandments. Monique, have you been following God's commandments? No. Remember I said I wasn't Job. I was not blameless in all this. And let us be clear, Monique is not as fault for the things that happened. But when he said that, he's talking about the bigger picture, right? Was I praying? Since I got married, remember I told you guys that there was a shift. Got married, didn't know like what was next, anything like that. Like let's literally like what next? Like things were just happening back to back where you're like, all right, God, I know something else is up. What's up? So was I praying or I should have been praying? No, I wasn't. Was I having Bible studies? Yes, I was having Bible studies, but it was more group Bible studies. I had a Bible study on Thursday night. I still have the Bible study on Thursday nights. So we do a Bible study. It's not Monique's Bible study. We do a Bible study on Thursday nights, right? We do a Bible study on Monday, right? And at that time, my husband and I was doing a Bible study on Wednesday. Not consistently, but we're doing it. I joined my church Bible study sometimes on Tuesday as well. So I was doing all these things, busy in myself, but I wasn't spending my individual quality time with him. I did the Bible study on Thursday. I would do the work to prepare for that, but I wasn't spending true quality time with him. So was I praying? No, I wasn't praying as much as I should have been praying. I prayed in the morning for devotion. I prayed in the evening to go to bed. I prayed when I was going to eat. I prayed for Bible study. I prayed if I was asked in one of those Bible study sessions to pray. I prayed. But the true test is when he wakes up in the middle of the night to pray. And a lot of times I didn't wake up. Oftentimes, if I did wake up, as a matter of fact, most times I couldn't sleep anyways, right? Still didn't pray. A lot of times I prayed, but you pray quick trying to go back to sleep, right? So now it's like, are you my friend? Because I'm your friend because I gave my life for you. No greater love than this, and a man laid down his life for his friend. You are my friend if you keep my commandments. So hold up. So you're telling me I'm the strain in our relationship? Yes, because you're flawed. You're not blameless. Like, all right, so I wasn't praying as much as I should. So now the accountability sets in, right? I was doing Bible studies, but not as much as my Monique individual Bible study as I should. So now that sets in, right? And now you have to navigate with that. And what does he say that when he brings you to that? Was I being obedient? And you would say yes, because I was doing the things a Christian should do, but I was doing it partially. And what's the Bible verse? I think I wrote it down. Let's see if I wrote it down. James 2:10 tells us that partial obedience is still disobedience, right? So I was obedient, but I was disobedient in so many ways. I remember being in church and God would tell me, listen, you need to go say this to somebody. And I'm like, well, God, why me? This is a new church. I'm sitting here. I'm at the back for a reason. I'm in this corner for a reason. Why me? You don't want to be brought out there, right? Or I would say, God, show me a proof that it's you. And it's like, you know my voice already. I don't have to show you proof. I would say, God, I don't want to, me and this person are already building a friendship. I don't want to be the one to have to do this here, because then I don't want them to say X, Y, and Z. And he's like, do it. So now he's putting you in a place because he's holding you accountable. And that's why I said, when you ask God the questions, you have to be prepared for the answers. So he did the part where he comforted me already, right? He told me all things work together for good. He told me that there's purpose in my pain. He told me that, listen, you're not doing this alone. He gave me all the things I needed. And he even empathized with me because he been through it. He lost his child. But now is the time where he was holding me accountable. And when he did that, I'm like, all right, now I have to repent, right? So now I realize, all right, go back. What are the things that he told you to do that you did not carry through? One of the things was this YouTube channel. He had given me the YouTube channel. So before there was a radio channel I was a part of when I lived in Florida that we did every Saturday. Before leaving Florida, he had told me to transition to YouTube. And it just seemed intimidating. And then when I came here, when I kept asking what next, that was a part of it. I was also in a place of rest, but that was supposed to be in my rest, right? But I didn't go through with that. The channel has been created, but I wasn't doing. I was caught up with the business of life. Let me put it this way. As individuals, life gets so busy that we get caught up in the business of life and we say we love God, but he ends up being on the back burner. And that's exactly what happened to me. I got so caught up with the business of life that even though I prayed, even though I was in Bible study, even though I did all this, he was still not priority, in the sense that I was not being fully obedient to what he had given me to do. So now there's purpose in my pain, because I understand that, just like my pastor said on November 15, that you're going to share the testimony. I may not have understood that the testimony was going to be on a platform like this, but I understood that, all right, someone needs to hear it, right? Someone has to learn from my disobedience, because guess what? At the end of the day, we're vessels of God, and we get to choose to be. We're vessels to be used by God. And we get to choose to be, if we want to be vessels of honor or vessels of dishonor. Our testimonies are going to be shared regardless. He's going to use us for him to get the glory regardless. We get to choose if we want to actually be a willing part of that and be obedient and learn from what he has for us, or if we want to go and gloat and be filled with pride and everything and act like we're holier than them and want to be exempt from it. So I went through all that, and guess what? I learned from it, right? I'm still navigating through it. I'm not going to say there are days where I'm not sad, because there are days where I'm sad. But one of the Bible verses that he gave me is Romans 8 verse 18. The sufferings of this time does not compare to the glory that will be revealed. So I can say to you now, whatever you're going through, and even as we are in 2026, the sufferings of this time does not compare to the glory that will be revealed. It may be hard, no, but what you're going through now, if you say yes to him continuously, it does not compare to what you're going to get back in the end, when it's all said and done, right? When you get that crown of life, when your life is written on that lamb, in the Lamb book of life, right? It doesn't compare to that. He died so that we could have everlasting life. That glory that will be revealed doesn't compare to what we are enduring now. But even then, because one of the words I had for 2025 was shift, but two of the words I have for 2026 is obedience and trust, because we ain't gonna make the same mistake intentionally that we did in 2025, right? So we're gonna be obedient and we're going to trust him. No, Well, that's my focus for this year. I can see it's hard when you're navigating through this, right? But one of the things that he reminds me is that where there is life, there is hope. And he reminds me that basically every morning, where there is life, there is hope. The mere fact that you woke up this morning, the mere fact that you woke up on this day, I'm recording this on January 1st. The mere fact that you woke up January 1st, 2026, nothing but a day change, right? But the mere fact that you are alive with his breath in your lungs, it means that there is hope for better. Just like he said to Jeremiah, his goal is not to hurt us or to bring us to harm, but to bring us to an expected end, right? It's for a bright future. So I say that no, it's hard now, but remember, where there's life, there's hope. There's hope for better. Weeping may last for a night, but joy is coming in the morning. Joy is there in the morning. The pain you go through now, it doesn't compare to the glory that will be revealed to you. So I don't know if it helps you, but that's my testimony. That's a part of what happened in 2025. And all of it, I'll be honest with you, is a testimony, right? Even before the marriage and everything like that. But I can look at you and tell you now that he prepared me for it. And the goal now is to learn everything that he intends for me to learn from that moment, right? It's not for me, because he gets the glory in the end. When I look back at that shift, I was prepared for even that shift, because 2024, it wasn't just marriage that was continuously prophesied over me, and I knew the promise that he had given me. If you knew me before 2024, you knew I knew the promise that he gave me in regards to marriage, right? So I knew that was coming, but it was prophesied to me that it's going to happen, and it was going to happen fast, and all this would change at once. So when it came, I shouldn't have been surprised, because I was walking in fulfilled promises, fulfilled prophecies, right? The same with all this that's going on now. His goal is to bring us to an expected end. It doesn't mean that because God is in it means that it will be an easy journey. In fact, that's when it gets harder. The enemy doesn't tempt you until you give God your yes. Let me say this again. You don't have a true fight with the enemy until you've given God that full yes. But his word tells us the race is not for the swift, but for those that can endure. So when you say yes, the enemy is going to strike you every step of the way. But the temptation is simply a test. And God already knows how strong you are. Do you know how strong you are? God already knows that you can go through this and you're victorious. Do you know that you are victorious? God already knows that all things will work together. It's time for you to remember that all things will work together for good for those that love him and those that are called according to his purpose. Thank you and have a wonderful day.